What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Legion of Comics Presents at Week's End. I'm Mark.
And I'm Brent. Let's get started.
All right. So we got a big week that we went through. So if you're new to the channel, before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. You can hit that notification bell. It'll alert you when we have future videos coming up that you'll be able to participate in. And as soon as we hit that 50 subscriber mark, which we're really close to, we're going to be doing a 50 subscriber giveaway. We've got a copy of the Death Metal Speed Metal, the 1 in 25 Peach Momoko cover we'll be giving away for free, shipping included, once we hit that 50 subscriber mark. So help us get there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be on the listen out for how we're going to give that away and when we're going to give that away.
For sure. Make sure you hit us up in the comments. Get some conversation going.
We definitely like to hear from people, hear what people are reading. If you're reading stuff that we're reading, tell us what you thought about it. Tell us what you thought we thought about it. And if we're not bringing up any books you're reading and you're really into them and you think we should be reading them, let us know. We'll, between the two of us, one of us, I'm sure, would not mind picking it up and getting it added to the conversation.
Definitely.
So, yeah, let us know. So there's a lot of good stuff that came out this week from DC, from Marvel, from the indie companies. There was an excessive amount of amazing covers, hence our background again is the Alex Ross Timeless background. As this week there was numerous ones of those, the entirety of the Fantastic Four, Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, Angel, and we're not going to go through each and every one of those. We'll probably just do a big video toward the end of them and just go through them because they're definitely worth looking at. But
oh, yeah.
For the end of the week here, we talked about a few books that we kind of wanted to highlight that were good for us, that kind of big around for everybody as well. So we're going to be going through some of those.
All right. What you got first up on the list, Mark?
Your call, man. You pick.
So I guess in keeping with the big stuff that we've been really into, we can start off with Multiverses End, a death metal tie-in. Definitely, again, keeping in line with the theme of each of these actually holds weight. These aren't like little cash grab money tie-ins, anything like that. Every iteration that we've read so far has definitely been integral to the story, and I think this might have even been one of the bigger ones so far, putting Owlman front and center. Definitely the, I don't want to say unsung hero of it, but definitely he played a major part.
Definitely stood out.
Yeah, for sure. We saw some standout characters return, like Baby Batman. That was pretty funny. He had his rainbow core of Batman lanterns or Bat lanterns, whatever you want to call them. And it was really cool because I thought the Jon Stewart kind of recapped everything from day one. Not even just like death metal, but pretty much explained in story the beginning of Perpetua, of her creating the multiverse and being locked away because she didn't want to die off or anything like that. Kind of basically trying to convince Owlman to be a good guy. And in the end, I don't want to say he won him over because Owlman definitely did it for his own selfish reasons, but he pretty much took or attempted to take, we'll see how things play out in future issues, but definitely depowered Perpetua on a giant scale, blowing up all of her towers of crisis energy and all that stuff.
And this was crucially tied into what's going on in the Justice League crossovers too, with the ragtag team of Titans trying to get through the Valley of Staros to free the Legion of Doom from her throne chair. You know, they had to
Yeah.
reduce that power to even make it possible. There's just from that last issue of Death Metal, how they just sent off numerous teams in different directions. How you mentioned these tie-ins count. They really do, because this is where we're getting all of that content on what they're
Yeah.
actually each and individually doing. And I love the roster lineup in this. I don't have the
Yeah.
cover A for this. The comic shop that I have my pull box here in Augusta, the Augusta Book Exchange, they had a huge shipping error where their whole box of them were damaged. But looking at that cover, you have front and center, right slap dab in the middle, you have Stan Lee's Wonder Woman from Stan Lee's Just Imagine.
Yeah.
And which she's more of like a South American, she's empowered like a South American goddess. And you've got President Zod and Superman right there. You had Captain Carrot, which was my personal favorite addition to the team. I haven't seen him since Convergence. And I definitely was excited in the sense that those covers were damaged, because I was on the fence about getting it, but I went ahead and pulled the trigger on the 1 in 25 just to get that Captain Carrot, which is awesome, with the whole zoo crew just laying there down and out. But he was definitely the heart and soul of that team. He was just keeping them going, keeping them positive through it all. And that was really cool, that moment where you could tell that he was just hurting for everyone that he couldn't save back in his universe. And
Definitely.
He was still pushing, and he was still fighting, and he was still getting other people motivated to keep doing the same thing as well, despite the pain. And,
yeah, it really kind of gives a little bit more weight and context to that variant that you have as well.
Yeah. This is the moment that he was reminiscing over.
Yeah.
And it's a very, 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 very amazing cover by Arthur Adams. Like the rain detail. We've talked about it with Romita Jr. artwork. Like some people would just do rain really well. This one came out fantastically.
Oh yeah.
But Owlman, dude, he was fantastic.
He really was.
It reminded me of the Crisis on Two Earths movie that they did years ago. Just how he was like the ultimate planner and everything. And it was awesome when he was getting the details of his own history, how he has lived and died numerous times. And one time he died from Crisis on Infinite Earths. Another time he died from a reset, and then being killed by Dr. Manhattan. And then all over again, here we are. And that moment when he realized he had lived and died, but yet every time the universe is reborn, he's reborn. He pictured himself as immortal, with back to that nothing matters attitude, just like at the end of Crisis on Two Earths movie, where Batman rigged him up to that bomb, and he just looks at it instead of freaking out or trying to save himself or being excited. He just looks at it and says, nothing matters, and just accepts his fate. It's just amazing. But that moment where they said, when John Stewart's trying to convince him into helping them, like, you don't have to like us, you don't have to do this or that, we just help us if you want to survive. We need to destroy these tuning towers. And he just looks at him and says, I know, I rigged bombs on them months ago.
Yeah.
He was already prepared. And just the thought of the Batman who laughs, thinking that he's the ultimate dark version of Batman, is what drove him, because he sees himself as that person, not the Batman who laughs. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, that was really awesome. I kind of chuckled at that moment. He's like, "Yeah, I've already done this." Like, and the fact that he pretty much did what everybody had been attempting to do already, and way before they did. Way before they did.
Been done.
Pretty.
Nothing to it.
He's like, "Y'all need me more than I need you."
Yeah, he just wanted details. What's been going on?
Yeah, for sure.
That's all. And Bat Baby was hilarious when he was he was fighting with Owlman, and Owlman's just laughing. He was just making him madder and madder and madder.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. That was definitely a good one. Before we switch over to another one that we read, I do want to again recommend to everyone out there, and I mentioned it to you, this Threshing Place Immortal Hulk one shot, because it's outside of the normal run. It's just another one of their run shots. The third one they did, we talked on it briefly earlier in the week, but it's written by one of your top guys that you put me on. And I definitely thank you for that, because this one I just would have stumbled upon eventually. And I don't always pay close attention to who's writing all these things, but Brent has pointed out some major influences that he's really liked a lot over his time, and this is one of them is Jeff Lemire, and he's done a lot of big things for DC
Yeah.
recently. But this is a fantastic story of getting down to just straight horror Hulk, like the
Nice.
nitty gritty of the essence of what Immortal Hulk's been, with just that pure horror aspect. He's violent. He's rough around the edges. The artwork in it is phenomenal, and it's a little more off the beaten normal. How the stuff that you show me that you really are into, like we'll get into it a little bit, but with the Department of Truth, how
Oh
that
yeah.
one I had to spend some time in to get into the story to really start to enjoy the art because of how well it goes with it. But that
Yeah.
Immortal Hulk was a little bit like that as well. So I highly recommend everyone to be reading Hulk. I'll recommend it every time it comes up.
Oh yeah.
But what else you got?
Let's see here. I guess kind of moving to the indie side. We could talk a little bit about Power Rangers. Some big stuff coming up for that as well.
Big stuff happened in that issue.
Yeah, I've got the foil version myself of the Chaos Crystal.
There's a
There you go, cover A. Yeah. Me personally, I feel like that this is definitely setting up some bigger things for the series split later on. We saw the first appearance of Imperial, and he pretty much is, untouchable by the Omega Rangers. They battled him pretty much this entire issue and didn't even put a scratch on him.
That comment he made about how he's just destroyed emissaries before just really set his bar high right off the bat.
Yeah, one thing that I thought was pretty interesting was the comment that he made saying that we're all servants of creation.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I don't think he was. I think he's talking about like a creation in a physical embodiment sense. Like,
you don't think he's talking about actual creation as a concept?
No, I think that creation is going to be the big bad following Imperial.
So you think that we might have met another herald, basically? Like this could be the herald of creation, whereas the Dark Spectre's herald was sent in New Dawn issue #2.
Yeah, exactly. And they could even be both serving creation. That could be, the big thing that they're building towards. But yeah, I think that it's going to be like a physical embodiment of creation, like he's talking about a person or a being.
That's really cool. And as we know, he introduced himself as "We Are Imperial." There are more that look like him, just with color schemes different, kind of like the Rangers and everything. So if they had that much problem with just one of them, they got their hands full with more. And I noticed that this issue, we didn't see the original team at all. They just stuck hardcore on this. So I definitely can see how you said they're setting up for the split, as they're trying to keep us with what's going on with each team individually. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't at the end of this when they say we need to get back and consult with Zordon or something?
Exactly. Yeah, they did.
So we got them separate with things going on. You got Mighty Morphin team is fighting the Dark Rangers right now. I've talked to people that say they seem to be formidable and this and that, but to me it just seems like filler story. You have the original sideline villains just amped up just for a fight, so they don't have to write anything really new or original right before the series split. So I can see where this new concept, original character to the comic, alpha level threat is really going to be the driving factor through the split of the series. But then I'm wondering what one team will be doing while the other one's doing different stuff. Because I do feel like at the split, they are going to both be on their own little paths for a little while.
For sure. Yeah. I think the bigger story there is with the original Mighty Morphin team is going to be who exactly Drakon was talking about when he's like, they're coming,
Probably them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking as well. We
think
know,
this is the set of people that tore him up and jaded him?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that maybe he was captured by them or something to that effect, and somehow he escaped. Because as formidable as Drakon has been, you really see him freaking out at the end of issue 53, I think it was, whenever he or 52. No,
Yeah,
was
he's not rocking any of his amped up powers right now either, though. He really doesn't have a leg to stand on like he used to.
for sure. Well, even in the previous one, whenever they defeated him in Shattered Grid and he was powerless, he just kind of like jumped off that cliff, smiling, backwards. He was just like, "I'll be back," pretty much.
Peace.
Yeah, but I think that the Imperial or creation itself is had captured him after the events of Shattered Grid and have held him captive ever since, and he escaped, and then now he's just like, okay, they're coming. And I think that's going to tie into the split as well, because we know that some of the descriptions from the Power Rangers side, which have the Omega Rangers, basically it says, Zordon is forbidding them from recruiting Drakon to the team, but it seems like they're going to do it anyways, probably because he has some sort of insight into the Imperial or creation or whatever it's going to be. That's just my 2 cents for it.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to be 2 different series, but they're definitely going to be doing some sort of like crisscrossing as far as stories go, and or characters, say that at the very least.
I definitely agree with that one. I'm definitely excited for the series split. I'm excited to get some new covers because I've loved all these Montez helmet variants and everything. And they've definitely gotten to the end of the road with them, though, to the point where they just have to recreate all of them foiled out, which are beautiful covers.
Oh yeah.
And for a completionist, it's a must-have. But I'm ready to call it complete and move on.
Yeah, for sure. I will say I am pretty excited for the Montez variants that I saw for the first couple of issues, as well as the Peach Momoko versions as well. I really like the Red Omega Ranger and then the White Ranger they have coming up for those 2 series that she's done. Those are really cool.
I think the White Ranger one looks good just because how intricate it is while he's morphing, even with the element of green in it.
For sure.
For a book like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it has its roots in martial arts and Japan. She's just like, her art style is just perfect for it, where I don't necessarily enjoy her art style on classic superhero stuff, but I feel like it's much better suited with Power Rangers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Kind of has a little bit of that anime feel. But I'm pretty excited to get a hold of some of those myself. I think those are going to be incentive variants rather than like an exclusive or anything like that.
I'm still debating if I'm going to attempt to chase him or not, because I know with me, if I get one, I like to have a set, and I don't care for the Red Ranger one, the White Ranger one. Again, I just like how it starts to border on intricate, which a lot of her like actual art pieces are highly intricate and gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
I'll probably set them out. There's a lot of store exclusives that do more classic style art and stuff that I really enjoy. There's a lot of stores doing issue 55 exclusives, which will be like the new Green Ranger on covers for the first time.
Yeah.
So I would tell people to go out and look those up and check some of those out if you want to have that first cover appearance of the new Green Ranger. It's going to be on issue number 55 coming out. But yep. What else we got on the list of big hitters for the week?
For me, this was definitely the most looked forward to. Dude's been doing some work on the most recent run of Batman, talking about the Department of Truth.
Oh, I'm sitting here holding 3 Jokers up, thinking that's what you're talking about. The most look forward to one.
Well, this, to me, it was it was kind of a sleeper thing for me, but then I saw it started to gain some steam online and everything, so it definitely ramped up my interest in the book. It
Yeah, I was
was,
talking to you on the way to your store about that one before we even hit the stores. We were talking about it.
yeah. It's the synopsis that they put out for the book. I don't really think does it justice. It's basically the preview that they gave for it was this guy who deals in conspiracy theories finds out they're all true, which in and of itself isn't exactly that true. They it is a guy that his name's Cole that works for the FBI, digging into online conspiracy theories. Finds himself at a flat earthers conference, and then gets recognized by some Koch brothers types, some one percenters, and gets pulled aside, and they're like, "Hey, you're going to want to see this." They show him a video of a fake moon landing that's supposedly from Kubrick's personal collection. Um, Put him on a plane, fly him to the edge of the flat Earth that they discovered recently, and subsequently gets picked up by the Department of Truth. And it's basically explained to him, which is kind of the big, really interesting twist to the series for me, was that the more that people believe in something, the more true it actually becomes in reality and makes it true retroactively. So in this case, these Koch brother type one percenters basically got enough people to believe that the Earth is actually flat, which from that point backwards and forwards makes the Earth flat. And it's from then on, it has always been that way, even though the world is actually round. And then the really cool twist at the end was that it seems like the Department of Truth is headed up by Lee Harvey Oswald, which was really interesting to me. It's one of the most talked about conspiracy theories ever. And it seemed to me too in the beginning of the issue, he's obviously talking to people from the Department of Truth right after the assassination. And he's like, all these people think that I killed him, which, again, enough people believed it, which made it true.
Yeah, he was sitting there steadily losing his memory on not killing the president in real time while talking to him.
Yeah.
And I love the detail that Tynion the Fourth goes into on these conspiracies, because I've spent my fair share of going down the rabbit hole looking into conspiracies, and I watch and participate on a lot of debate shows on YouTube and stuff, and channels that have those flat earth debates and stuff. They're really fun to get into, and the details and stuff that flat earthers talk about are like the ice wall that surrounds the planet on the plane, and that's where they fly to. They fly to that ice wall and land on it in the actual book, and that's where old girl from the Department of Truth intercepts them and just murders all of them.
Yeah.
Just takes them all out. And it was cool how the whole motive behind, as you described them, the Koch brother-esque one percenters, the big oil tycoon guys, their motive was to destabilize the government by just throwing people into chaos, basically, by throwing these out there. That was super cool. And they tackled some really, really big, really popular conspiracies right out the gate with JFK, moon landing, and the flat Earth. So I'm excited and really curious to see which ones they're going to go with next, because I think those are some of the biggest scope conspiracies that kind of float around that everyone's familiar with. So I'm interested to see which other ones they kind of pick up on, and which other ones that they kind of be new to me reading this book, or even some that they might just kind of create for this book.
For sure. I was thinking about it, and obviously they'll probably touch on aliens at some point. But one thing that I think would be really cool is if they touched on a Bigfoot conspiracy theory, and how
I was thinking about Egypt.
Egypt would be cool as well. But with the Bigfoot thing, they could kind of make it like a tragic story, like, this being or 9 foot tall, like, monster was sort of created against his will and now kind of lives like a like a sordid existence, like, you know, I didn't ask to be here type of thing, and now people are hunting me all the time and all that other kind of stuff, kind of take it that direction.
It's a bunch of
But
goobers
yeah,
from Animal Planet beating on trees in the
yeah,
middle of the night. You can't get any sleep.
right, yeah. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where this is going to go. The comic shop down here in Charleston, Captain's Comics and Toys, they every week they have these like little cardboard things that are, you know, have different, like, you know, new mini series or one per cover or one cover per person type of stuff. I don't know how many issues Department of Truth is actually going to be, but it seems like it is going to be a mini series, like a limited series. So a little disappointed on that end myself, but at the same time, I don't want it to become one of those stories that you know, jumps the shark or anything like that and kind of goes past its expiration date, you know?
Yeah.
So, but huge fan of the concept, loved the artwork in it. I know initially you were like, I'm not really a fan, but it was really only that first page that kind of had that sort
Was
of,
that gruff?
yeah, that, like, you know, just really kind of blurry type of, which I actually thought was really interesting because, like you mentioned, Oswald started losing his memory of not killing him, and that's kind of how the artwork was laying it out. It was kind of
Hmm.
hard to tell like what was going on and all that other kind of stuff. So kudos to the artist on that aspect. But you know how I am.
Simons.
Yeah, I kind of love that sort of gritty, gruff artwork myself. Even we talked about the speech bubbles, and this was really, really cool how they did that. Not your traditional speech bubble or lettering or anything like that. It actually looked like they were like hand drawn into the picture instead of having it, you know, put in by a computer or anything or something like that.
Yeah, they were rough around the edges, but it matched everything else about the book, from the
Oh
art to the
yeah,
characters to everything.
definitely. Really looking forward to seeing where that goes.
Absolutely. So last but not least on the list for us tonight, kind of break down, has been the big thing going on at DC right now outside of death metal, years in the making. Issue 2 of Batman 3 Jokers came out,
Oh yeah,
and me and Brent both were fortunate enough to score those 1 in 25 color variants,
oh yeah.
which I really like those covers. I remember that first one coming out, and with Jason Todd killing the Joker in it, I told you you might want to go pick up the 1 in 25 variant, because who knows how that's going to play out.
For sure.
So we've definitely been, you know, once you get one, you got to get all of them.
Oh yeah, I'm glad there's only 3 issues in that
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah. No, they weren't overpriced for what they were by any means.
No, not at all.
And there was one of the shops here in Augusta, Top Dog, had that 1 in 100 sketch variant, and I was tempted, but like you pointed out, it's just this image in black and white,
Yeah, I really
which
don't like whenever they do
so
that.
did the same as this image. So I don't need three of the same images. I like the one with the color on it better anyways. And we still have those full set 15 cover sets of the series that we both had pre-ordered
Oh
months
yeah,
ago.
yeah. Hopefully those will be out in November, December,
Of next year, probably. Yeah.
given where we ordered them from. Yeah. That's why I was
No,
actually
but no
when I
rush. We're cool with waiting in case,
yeah.
we're
Don't cancel
fine
our
with
orders.
waiting. No, please don't. Please don't. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward
I was
to
actually
2 weeks. Maestro's supposed to ship, so finally
yeah.
get.
I think my Death Metal 3 Peach Momoko variant is finally shipping next week as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Right on time.
Yeah, but kind of getting back on track here. Um, yeah, 3 Jokers. That was a
Three
really,
Jokers.
really awesome installment. We've had some pretty lengthy discussions on this issue already, as to like what's going on. I actually have another theory that I'll bring up in a minute once we kind of dig into the story itself. that I haven't talked to you about.
So tell them what happened in this issue.
So the two remaining Jokers, the criminal and the comedian, are successful in creating or sort of creating a multitude of Jokers and apprehending Jason Todd. And it's sort of poetic how they explain everything as how he should be the next Joker, because it was always the Red Hood first and then a Joker.
And they talked about it in depth, this issue. They touched on the first one. They talked about it in depth. Like, this has honestly been their game plan. There's been 3 of them. They wanted another one, and they've had their eyes on him.
Yeah. And it like you said, they brought it up in the last one, how he's, he's even been their Robin as well. But they apprehend him, and they almost break him and into becoming the next Joker again. But it was really cool. And I also feel like that this is kind of a big moment for Jason, what happened afterwards as well, because he kept talking about how he never felt like anybody cared. And Barbara really kind of like, we do care, Jason, and then they have their moment where they actually kiss, which I honestly didn't see coming.
It was very fleeting too, though. That was
for sure.
She even said it was a moment, man. Let's move on, whatever.
Yeah, especially given her feelings toward him after he killed the Joker in the last issue.
The clown.
Yeah, I couldn't get it out of my head. But yeah, the entire beginning of the issue, she's like pleading with Bruce, like, we got to do something about Jason. Like, he needs to be taken out of the game, take the hood, take his guns.
Dude, how about that conversation though, when they were riding side by side, and she kept asking him, like, why aren't you more mad? Like, he's like, you went through the same thing, you recovered, and she's like, yeah, but he hasn't. He snapped. Why are you giving him another chance? And he made that comment. He's like, I thought he'd be more like you. And like, what do you say to that, Babs? Just follow the man. Let him handle it.
For sure. But it really does seem like too that they are setting Jason on the path of like getting better. It showed him go into Barbara's closet and look at the wheelchair and find that that book on like how to deal with pain and stuff like that. And of course, the book made it seem more like a physical pain, but I think it's, a pain that, like an internal pain that he's dealt with forever since being killed by the Joker.
I mean, it goes back even before then, because you got to think, why did DC even pull that stunt to kill him off to begin with? He was rough around the edges from the start, and you have I still remember reading the book where the first time that he meets Superman and the rest of the Justice League, and the first thing he does is he starts talking smart to Superman, and you're just like, kid, what are you doing? Superman's even like, what? And
who is this guy?
Yeah, who's this kid?
For sure.
I think that a lot of his damages has nothing to do with anything that those books can help. Because if you go back to the mid 2000s when Superboy Prime was punching his way out of the little happy place that him and Superman from Earth 2 and Lois from Earth 2 and Alexander Luthor were trapped in, and it started affecting the fabric of reality and correcting things and stuff. And he woke up in his coffin years and years after he'd been dead. He woke up in the exact same condition that he died. So he had a punctured lung, a busted eye socket, internal bleeding, everything, and he clawed and fought his way out. So that kind of trauma right there, not even throwing into the fact that he had no concept of how long he was probably dead, you know what I mean? But just waking up in that condition and fighting for your life immediately. The last thing he remembered was fighting for his life and his mother's life. And then he wakes up in a box having to fight for his life again. And they get into it in like the Secret Origins story, the Infinite Crisis Secret Origins before the event, where he just wandered around memoryless around Gotham. And some of the guys from the League of Shadows they were the ones that spotted him and recognized him first, and they got him and they took him back and dipped him in the Lazarus pit, and that's how he was healed physically. So all that did was add
Yeah.
insult to injury to all the internal damage, because every time
Yeah.
you go in there and come out, you leave a piece of your sanity in there, and that doesn't get talked about or pointed out much with the return of Jason Todd too much. It's just like, oh, he's retconned back alive, but dude, he's been through the ringer.
Oh yeah. And imagine going through all that and then to find out that you've been replaced almost immediately. He felt like that nobody cared. Like, he was just a number to Batman. And excuse me, and that gets, he brings that up in this. And, Barbara kind of, again, just like Jason, we do care. I'm sorry if you felt like nobody ever did, but it's, we all care. Like Batman more than anybody. He even mentioned himself in that issue that I will never, ever forgive myself for leaving Jason in that grave for all those years. Like, he's like, I will never forgive myself for doing that.
Even though if he would have decided to dig him up early, he would have found a corpse.
Yeah. Yeah. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Really, really awesome. I thought really awesome, like Jason Todd, like character development in this. I thought they were going to kind of focus, like have a little bit more of a focus on each character, like equally and individually.
Well, I think they focused on Babs in this one as much as you possibly could on a character who's quite literally had like returned from her brink, but she returned just fine. So there's really no real character diving. She's tackled her demon. She's healed herself. She's mended her fences with like the team in the Bat family. So there's, the only way you can spotlight her is just really her reaction to the events of the first one.
Yeah. Well, I thought that they might have done something kind of how they did with Jason in the first one, like have her moment with the Killing Joker, kind of a confrontational style moment or whatever. Given
what would a moment like that look like with somebody who's at peace, who's at a proper mind state, who's, you know what I'm saying? She's not damaged. She's not going to look at him and flip out or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? She would just try to arrest him.
Oh, well, yeah. No, I get that, but it could have been something like, that they were doing to maybe get under her skin a little bit more, something like that. But we still got one more issue. I'm pretty interested to see what where they're going. And I remember, like, I'd forgotten about it until I saw it in this issue, but there were some panels they released before of everybody like in the snow and stuff, and there was a moment in this issue where Batman looks over to a globe and he looks at Alaska. So that's going to be really interesting to see where, like, how that's going to be playing into this larger story of the three Jokers and stuff like that.
And we've mentioned it slightly, but how much do you think Batman knows more than the Red Hood, more than Batgirl, more than the GCPD about everything going on? Because of out of these last two issues, with everything that's come to light, with them finding out that there's more than one Joker, with these crimes being committed in three places simultaneously, everyone seems kind of shocked and on the ball to try to get to the bottom of it and stop it. And Batman's been kind of chill and cool-headed and not surprised by any of it. So I know that it's a Black Label and it's out of the main continuity, but they're dipping into the continuity. Not. Well, it is at the moment, but they're dipping into the continuity with it. They're not canonizing it yet. I don't know if they're going to, but they do have a history of, if something hits good enough, they go back and canonize it. But
no, Jeff Johns himself said in an interview that he's been excited to do a Batman story that's actually within the canon of, the main continuity. And especially too, because it's, spinning out of what Bruce saw on the Mobius chair. But I also think that ties into maybe why he's not that surprised at a lot of this stuff. Again, but of course Bruce is like historically secretive about a lot of things. So I wouldn't be surprised as to what he may not be telling everybody
Yeah.
else.
Well, this is kind of
Um,
what I was referring to, where he announced that while it seems like a cop out, it exists both inside and outside of DCU continuity, with its origins firmly introduced at the end of New 52 and the launch of DC Rebirth. So that's why I was saying, like, while it's outside, he's still dipping into it to pull all the elements out of it, where something like the Killer Smile was just completely standalone, or the new
yeah,
Constantine story is completely standalone. And I think that a lot of the elements of them kind of doing that cop out come from just the current state of DC Comics and how they had the big shift in everything and kind of new plans. You know, they canceled 5G and all that kind of stuff, and they had a huge
yeah,
shakeup. But I
yeah.
don't know.
Definitely conflicting stories there because it's, um, like I said, I remember reading an article or an interview that he did with it being like, excited about a canonical Batman because he's done all the Earth One stuff and things of that nature. But I know
It'd
that
be
we've,
weird. It'd be weird for it to be straight canon with, like, I mean, currently everything going on. You have a Joker war going on. You know, you have the death metal stuff going on, which they're trying to force into the canon mold while other stuff's going on. But DC has a really loose continuity right now, anyways,
yeah. Well, it's not.
post New 52 as well. So
I wouldn't say that it's like canon as far as like timeline goes. Like it's part of the actual, like main continuity, just not happening at the,
same
this. I
time.
would assume that this probably happened way before the events of Joker War and Death Metal and all that other
Kind of like
stuff.
reading Doomsday Clock, which was completely canon, but you can't time place it whatsoever, not by their suits, not by
Exactly.
nothing.
Yeah, because that was a conversation that we had before, with
While we were
like
reading it, even.
yeah, because it's you don't see Batgirl with her purple and yellow suit that she's had for the past 3 or 4 or 5 years or anything like
Superman
that.
was wearing his trunks.
Yeah,
Batman's
yeah,
suit was different than what it was in current. Everything was different.
for sure. But I know that we've also had discussions on uh, the Jokers in particular, and like where they kind of fall as well. Um,
Yeah, our initial theory was that
yeah,
these were going to be the three different crises Jokers that, like pre-Infinite Earths, then Flashpoint, or then the New 52, and for some reason these Jokers might be anomalies inside the multiverse that were not affected by the reset. So now you're basically getting copy on copy existing at the same time, was our kind of initial before any of it launched. Like that would
yeah,
be a possibility.
yeah, like a
But
pre-crisis, a post-crisis, and then a new 52 Joker.
these
Of
theories
course,
have
that's
evolved
the
as the stories has come out.
for sure. And I know a day or two ago we were talking about like who the OG Joker was and stuff, and I was pretty adamant that the criminal would have been the first Joker, obviously, especially given the fact that in this particular, and this is kind of getting into the theory that I mentioned earlier, that it just kind of clicked for me today, like, oh, this would be kind of cool. But anyways, the criminal Joker mentions in this issue that, I ran this city before Batman was even Batman, so which implies that he existed just even as a person, not necessarily as a Joker, before Batman or before Bruce Wayne came Batman. So he,
Time out. So wouldn't that imply that he's not the Joker, since in his origins, like the little bit of origins that we have, he was never a shot caller or a boss. And now that we know that they're making Jokers, like just theoretically, just throwing a random name out, what if he was a Falcone-esque person, like an actual boss that was running the city that a Joker got a hold of and made another Joker? You have that option to look at too, because
well, that's actually what I was going to try to say, pretty much, before you jumped in there. How he implies that he was running the city before there was a Batman. However, we know that pretty much canonically that Batman is sort of responsible for creating the Joker and Ace Chemicals, which you can sort of imply that would be the Batman that, or the Joker that he created would have been the Killing Joke Joker, who in turn would have, found some sort of crime boss or criminal and created the criminal version of the Joker.
Mm.
That was
I don't think
going to
it
be
is a
my
criminal
theory.
Joker on much. I have a hard time picturing him because he's too stable, too in control. And looking back on like old Jokers, he was never, it wasn't until Neil Adams got a hold of him that he was even like kind of a serious character to begin with.
Yeah, well, that could have been why the Killing Joke Joker created the criminal Joker, is because he wanted, some sort of, maybe some semblance of structure or somebody to be able to kind of plan this type of stuff or whatever. He had some sort of use for the criminal Joker because of the way that he did things before Batman.
I feel like with the two remaining ones, and also like the whole concept of the theory that I was asking myself, instead of how are there three Jokers, the question's completely changed to, well, we have that answer, they just make more. And so the question now is just who's the original Joker? Like the question that mattered going into this completely has changed, which I think is pretty cool. Just goes to
for sure, yeah.
the good writing of Jeff Johns there. And
Yeah.
if our two choices, the what's left are the two Jokers that are there, which I don't think we're limited to that for some reason. I think, yeah, there were only three Jokers, but I don't even know if any of these Jokers are going to be the actual original Joker. If the original Joker that started making more of these Jokers is even still around or alive for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
Tell you one thing that was super cool was when it opened up with the which Joker is it? That it opened up with, you have the criminal, the clown, and
it was the comedian, yeah.
The comedian, when it opened up with his little flashback, or his little, if it is a flashback, because we even mentioned that, like when he's sitting there daydreaming about having a family and coming home to a wife and kid, that even in his own twisted imagination, his wife fears him and his kid hates him, which shows you how twisted he is, even remember him like that. If that is even like kind of like what's left of a memory before he was a Joker, of what he had before then. But that was a really, really good artwork on Fabok's side when he's sitting there eating, and in 1 second he's got one thing in his spoon, and the next second it's changed, and I kind of did a double take, and then I looked, and the next one he's holding like cat food or something in his hand.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fades out of it. But that Joker's absolutely all the way shot out. And,
for sure.
Is it from years of being the Joker? Is it because he's the actual Joker and that's what he is, Yeah. I just think that the Joker is way too unstable to be the criminal Joker. He's got a lot going on still upstairs.
For sure. Yeah, I think, me personally, I think the Killing Joke Joker, originally I thought the criminal was going to be the OG Joker, but after, putting some thought into it, I think Killing Joke myself is going to be OG because, why would the criminal create more Jokers if he can, control an entire city? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just seems like a very comedian Joker thing to do, to be like, wouldn't this be hilarious if I made more?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember us mentioning that too earlier this week. It's kind of a classic Joker gag, just making more.
Yeah. And and I kind of mentioned, I don't know really how much weight this would actually hold, but I think it would be kind of cool because the Joker that we know in the New 52 doesn't really fit sort of the mold of any of the Jokers that have been presented to us in the story of the three of them. And in that scene where, Batman and Batgirl are being attacked by all the pseudo Jokers that they've created, and then the Batmobile comes rushing in and mows through them all, and then you have that one scene where a Joker has a couple of rebar pieces going through his stomach, and he's like, "Help me." I thought it was kind of conspicuous that even the haircut that he had was very reminiscent of the New 52 Joker. So maybe something will spill out of that. Not really sure, but at the same time, I don't think that anything is going to be by accident in this story either.
Never is with Johns.
I was going to say just with how he writes and stuff. So definitely going to be interested. Going to be excited to see what happens in the finale of this story.
And with his vast knowledge of like DC Comics history and how he always plays into it with his stories, I'm sure it's going to be an awesome payoff.
Oh yeah, like I mentioned too, when Batman goes to Arkham, and he's going to and this was actually one of my favorite probably my favorite moment in the book. When he goes to Joe Chill's cell, if you look at his cell number, it's actually the issue number and the year of Joe Chill's first appearance. It was Detective Comics 33 in 1939, and his cell number was 0331939. But also, this was one of the really rare moments where we see a vulnerable Batman, because he goes up to the cell, and in the first speech bubble, it shows him, the font's a little bit smaller, the letters are a little bit thinner, and he's like, "Do you know who I?" And then you see him clear his throat, and then in the next one, you see in the next speech bubble is like, in his Batman voice, "Do you know who I am?" It's kind of like the first time he wasn't asking as Batman. He was asking Joe Chill if he knew who he was as an 8-year-old Bruce Wayne that just watched his parents get murdered.
He even clears his throat.
Exactly.
Like, you know who I you know who I am.
Yeah, that it just like
the facial expression, everything changes. He goes from like soft lips and everything to the scowl, kind of the growling face.
Yeah, I think that was one of the coolest little moments from that book. Very nice touch from Geoff Johns, if that's what he was going for. I think it was. But I remember reading that and just being like, man, like you haven't really seen anything like that. Like the last time I kind of saw something like that was in Dark Victory, the Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale book, one of the issues. And this is more of an Alfred and Dick Grayson moment, but you kind of see Alfred watching a young Dick Grayson kind of going through Bruce's parents' room and just kind of like touring the Wayne Manor and everything like that. And he's reminiscing about seeing a young Bruce do the same thing. And he kind of uses this moment to what he feels like is saving Dick, because you see in the flashback of Alfred and Bruce, he doesn't really console him or anything like that. But then in the mirror image on the next panel, you see Alfred like consoling Dick in, a very fatherly way. It's like he's trying to keep Dick from going down the same path that he's seen Bruce on for the past few years. So it's really a cool, like, kind of, I don't want to say Easter egg type of moment, but just, a very cool little thing that people are putting in there that, just kind of add to the larger character, or to the character at large and stuff.
Yeah. For me, I think the coolest moment, it was definitely a Jason moment when they had him buck naked tied to the chair and they were torturing him and stuff. And they were just sitting there really just torturing him with words more than anything. And when they kept asking him, so why'd you put on that helmet? Why'd you put on the red hood mask after everything we did to you? And they put it on him and they had the smiley face drawn on it. And he says, "Are all you copycats going to ask me the same thing? It's a joke." And they're like, see?
Yeah, that was pretty
cool. That was cool.
Yeah. And you really see, I mean, you get it reading a lot of Jason Todd stuff throughout the years, but it was really powerful when Bruce was like, "Jason, are you okay?" And he's like, "Do you think I'm okay?"
Yeah.
Like all those years of disdain and hate for Bruce came pouring out right then. He was like, I mean, what do you think? Like, after
It's kind of a dumb
everything.
question.
Yeah. He's like, do you really think, like, I'm baffled you would even ask that. But yeah, that was, I really like what they're doing with Jason in this. I think, hopefully if it does kind of continue out through this, they put him on a path to heal a little bit more to be better. Because he's really just a tragic character, man.
It is. He's always been my favorite Robin. As always, he's unquestionably the worst Robin, but without a doubt the most interesting ward that Batman has ever had.
For sure.
So that was pretty much it for the big hitters for us. Of course, we did pick up other stuff and read other stuff all the Timeless. There's a couple annuals that came out, but those were the big books that we dove into this week. So if anyone wants to let us know what they thought about them, drop us a comment. We'd love to respond and talk with people on here.
Oh, yeah.
And also just want to let people know that, we are on YouTube on this platform, and the channel that I really got involved with first on YouTube and got connected with people was Comic Jabroni's channel. He was from Texas, but he was stationed here locally in Augusta, Georgia, where I'm at, and participated and kind of got the feel of like the YouTube comic community from his channel. And he steered me to some other channels that had a lot of similar interests that I like to hang out in and talk with people on. And he unfortunately passed away pretty recently. And he was a huge fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he talked about them constantly, and he had all kinds of cool stuff on his channel, and he was always so excited and enthusiastic about them. And with The Last Ronin coming up here soon, Simple Man Comics and 616 Comics did this amazing exclusive variant to their store. It's only 250 copies, and it's a beautiful cover and everything. And if you look close at the front on the Ninja Star there, you actually see where they put R.I.P. Jabroni. So they did a tribute comic to him in the perfect fashion, with his favorite characters and everything. So that's just something just wanted to announce to the comic community, because I know there was a lot of people that were definitely very upset with his passing. He communicated and participated a lot with his fans and everything. He was a really great guy, and I thought that was just super cool how they did that for him. But yeah, it's limited to 250 copies. It's Simple Man Comics or the 616 Comics. So if anyone's interested in those, check them out before they run out.
Definitely a cool cover.
Yeah, it was cool as hell when I saw that. Like, yeah, I've got to get one of those.
There you go.
But yeah, that's pretty much all we got for this at week's end video. It was a huge week in comics, and it was a big week all around with collectibles and everything. Had the Hasbro stuff come out. Scored one of those Draken figures. We'll score 2 of them. Was able to get rid of one of them already. And yeah, we look forward to next week. A lot of good stuff's coming out. We'll be posting a video at the beginning of the week to talk about what we plan on picking up. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be sure to be on the lookout for that video. And of course, coming soon, we'll have that 50 subscriber giveaway for the Speed Metal 1 in 25 Peach Momoko variant. So keep on the lookout for that. And that's all I got.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. You guys make sure to hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you thought about the books that we talked about this week, and we will see you guys next week with a video of what we might be picking up this week and going forward.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night.
Later.